Hello, I'm Steve Good with On the Road to Success with the Business Development Center at Old Dominion University at Parv Bewick. I have the great pleasure to be sitting across, or I guess virtually sitting across, from Miss Soliél Lindsey from Soul Rise Essentials. Did I get that right?
You got it right.
All right, Soul Rise. I'm looking at what you've got tastefully placed behind you. I'm kind of getting a hint on what you do, but I don't want to make assumptions. What is Soul Rise Essentials?
So, Soul Rise Essentials is a unisex affirmation family brand, and we offer affirmation apparel for resilient humans on the grow and also for their littles. So, you see a little t shirt up there. I think that's like a 3T, but we also make affirmation apparel for children as well. But what we do is we empower you to thrive on your best days and in between with our affirmation apparel. So, hats, t shirts, jewelry, more things to come in the future. But for now, in our first year of business, that's what we've been able to offer. But we also have a Soul Tribe, a community called the Soul Tribe. It's a global community of resilient humans that we are growing. My business has a huge focus on mental health. Pertaining to my personal story, just some tools that I've learned and gained along the way. But the overall mission of what we do is to encourage people to focus on their mental wellness, but also look good while they do that. So our
When you
affirmation.
say affirmation apparel, what is affirmation apparel? What would be? I see pack light, and I don't. I'm just let me help me understand that.
Okay.
What could you expect in your apparel?
So for your first question, affirmation apparel, I also use positive apparel interchangeably with that. When some people hear the word affirmation, they think of I am statements, but I just say they are affirmative or declarative statements that you say to and about and for yourself. So things that uplift you, uplift your spirit. You can say them to yourself. You can say them to other people, but it's just it's like a mantra, something that you say to yourself to pick you up, to keep going. It's just a vision in your head, if you will, to help you become the best you. So pack light, I get questions about that often. There's actually a song that some people are familiar with. There's an artist, Erica Badu. She has a song called Bag Lady, but that song is just a huge metaphor. And pretty much emotionally, spiritually, mentally, I think I may have missed something, but and physically, just packing light. So verbalizing your emotions, possibly going to therapy, just being a light to the world, feeling God's light, sharing God's light, whatever it needs to mean to and for you that day. That's what it means when you put it on.
Now, I see you got pack light. Do you have any other affirmations that you put into your apparel? What would be an example of
I
that?
do. Let me grab this little shirt right here. This is actually one of our newer designs. I should have had it closer. I'm sorry, but Grateful Guided Mama. So I came up with this
Okay.
design for
Wow,
Mother's
grateful
Day.
guided plus guided mama.
Yeah,
Well,
Grateful and Guided. Mm-hmm. But then I just came out with for Father's Day. It says it's called an essential dad affirmation t-shirt. So it just says dad, daddy, father, and at the bottom it says essential. So again, we're new. So a lot of our product development is still in that developmental phase. But Pack Light has been a huge one. And then also Soul Tribe. So we talked about the Soul Tribe earlier, which is just everybody that supports and believes in our vision, whether you've been able to purchase or not. Anytime you've gone through trauma or life's obstacles and you've overcome them or you're working to overcome them, that's who the Soul Tribe family is for. So we have these affirmation necklaces and they sell like hotcakes. And I also have on a resilient necklace as well. So we will have limited edition items that come out in the future. And then as you can see, we have some things in store now.
All right. So when did you start this company?
So I formed the business December 2020. The
Ooh,
pandemic.
wow. I mean, right.
Did.
Ooh, woohoo.
Yeah.
Didn't he have a good run at it? You're right into it, Well, it was just
right
coming out. Really, everything's coming out about it.
So I started working and started selling in the business in July of 2021. So July 2022, it'll be 2 years. It'll be 1 year.
So you actually were launching this during the pandemic itself.
I did, yeah.
Okay, so the question I would have, I don't know if anybody else is thinking about that. Why in the world would you launch a business like this?
I think what COVID-19 taught myself and so many other people is that life is short. And also for me, I just wanted to live a more fulfilled life. I had, unfortunately, a lot of personal things going on, court litigations, family things, my own personal health issues. And then with the pandemic, it kind of shed light on a lot of corporations and businesses. And I think it put a lot of pressure on everybody, right? Businesses, people, individuals. And for me, I just needed a change. There was a lot going on, and it was time for me to finally step into my purpose. And I really thought long and hard about what type of business I wanted to start. And for me, this was a no-brainer. I had a ring that I wore all throughout my my late teenage years and also my early 20s, and it said "Shine on the ring." And on the inside it was engraved as well, and it said "The world needs your light." And I always found that ring anytime I was going through something tough, or like one day I had a job interview, I would always lose it and I would find it again. I just remember those affirmations. Nobody knew what it said but me, but it got me through some really tough times, and I wanted to provide that feeling and those power, personal power to other people as well. So that's why it was a lot going on. And I think the pandemic just kind of pushed a lot of people over the edge to really start living their life in a more meaningful way.
The now, did you transition? Were you working somewhere and started this, or did you just jump all in?
Yeah. So with my health issues, I could not work anymore by doctor's orders. So I took some time off, about 4 to 6 months, to really just sit and listen to God and figure out what my next move was. And around that 4-month mark is where I got, okay, you can either stay in real estate, which is what I was doing, but kind of transition into a different industry within real estate or a different field within real estate, or you can go ahead and start this business. Because I've always had an entrepreneurial heart, spirit, and mind, but it was down to that, and I chose the obvious answer, which is start my own business.
Start your own business. Now, you got into apparel though, and I've run into some other people that get into jewelry and apparel and stuff like that. How did you, here you got an idea, but there's all sorts of design work, coming up, what you're going to say, finding the right vendor to do your printing, and
Yes.
making, especially down to your jewelry. I'm just can't imagine, how did you find these while during COVID? How did you find these outlets that could make your dream become tangible, make it a reality?
That's a really good question. That is a really good question. Research, research, research. I called some friends of mine that had apparel businesses. I didn't quite know anybody that did jewelry. So that was something that I really started from ground zero and tried to figure out, okay, where do I go? Who do I talk to? So I went through a couple different vendors on the t-shirt printing side, on the t-shirt supplier side, the apparel side, the jewelry side. So it was a lot of research, and it wasn't something that I just kind of delved into even before. When I got the notice from my doctor that like, you need to relax, your body needs rest, I started to kind of research some things about business. So I didn't just jump into it. There was a transition period, and I felt peace about my decision, but just doing some research, using my community, asking questions, and trial and error. I'm not working with the people that I initially thought I would be working with. And that just came from testing and sampling, wearing jewelry for literally like 6 months to figure out, okay, is this going to be tarnish free? Is this going to break my neck out? So all of our jewelry is hypoallergenic, tarnish free, and waterproof. That took a lot of research and a lot of trial, because a vendor can say, well, the jewelry is supposed to do this or not do this, but trial and error is going to.
How do you do what kind of, if you're doing a necklace, for instance, how do you define something? They've got to be like a minimum run that you've got to do, or they're not going to even play with you.
So I was lucky enough to find a vendor that actually allowed me to just get one. Not a lot of vendors do that. So I got some different quotes, different sizes, different lengths, different colors, different fonts, and just figured out what was going to fit my brand aesthetic. And that's what I did. I just kind of sampled things out for a while. And I had my friends and my family sample those things out too. So I didn't have to create this big bulk order. And I had to continue researching in order to find that, because not all vendors or websites are like that.
Yeah. Then what is a minimum bulk run for you?
For me, I get them by the hundreds. So I'll order.
It's at least 100 run.
Yeah. For the necklace.
That's not too bad, really. That's not too bad. So I'm going to put this in the remarks and also be in there, but would you be willing to share with people that are thinking, because that's a big issue about getting minimum for jewelry. I don't know if you got your special vendor you want to keep to yourself, but I don't know if you're willing to recommend. I don't want to do it on video, but if someone wanted to chat with you, would you be willing to talk to them about that a little bit?
Yeah, I would be willing to give them the website that I went to, and just have them kind of look at some different vendors on that specific website, because there's so many out there.
Okay, because I know that's you're not the only person I've run into that wants to do that, wants to do their own crafted jewelry, and of course we've got from all extremes. We've got crafted jewelry to all the way to diamonds and gold and oh my, and that's a whole different game altogether. Now, did you, when you're doing apparel, did you think about I'm trying, boy, you know how hard it is to avoid naming another big, okay, one of these online, starts with an S, one of these online people or something, or these different things you see that does printing. Did you go that way or did you actually seek out printers?
I sought out printers. So I know a lot of people in my industry, locally anyways, and in other states, they print from home. I am a single parent, so I need my time. I didn't go into business from a corporation to keep my time away. I wanted to bring more time to myself and my family. So I do not print my own shirts, but I do have a local printer. That was really important. So currently my necklaces are coming from overseas, and I'm actually working on finding a vendor in the States because with the supply chain issues,
Oh, yeah.
it's just altered the way that a lot of people do business. So I'm learning a lot starting a business in a pandemic. So I'm doing my research to figure out, okay, well, what ways can I source from home? So my shirts were really important. So I did find a local vendor in my area where I live, and they are phenomenal. They've actually been in business for, I think, over 20 or 30 years. And that was important longevity for me because the first two vendors for the shirts that I went through, they were newer and I wanted to support a certain demographic, but I really, at the end of it all, I realized that I needed someone long-term, someone that had been in this for a very long time. And that was really important. They have a lot of integrity, great customer service. I know them by a first name basis. I can just stop by the shop and confirm or deny something. So they are wonderful. And that was important to me to work with a company that had really strong values that are in line with mine.
You actually know the difference now in t-shirts on thread count and the
Yes.
softness and all that. So
yeah, I'm learning so much.
I had that experience. A few years ago. We were with a group doing t-shirts, and Lordy, I know more about thread count than I ever wanted to in my entire life. But
thread count.
Anyone out there, you need to talk to people. How to do it so it doesn't stretch and it doesn't feel scratchy, and and it holds. Oh yeah, we want to go into that. That is a whole course unto itself, just to find the shirt that you're going to print on, and then if that shirt's going to take the ink and all that. That's a whole.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I'll let the viewers go chat with you about that one. That's a whole learning curve on that one. So you've got that. Now, how has the launch during the pandemic? How's it been working for you? I see you got here, a nice hat and shirt, but where are you now? Let's say golly, it's not even a year later.
Yeah, not even a year later. So I will say that the business is definitely still in that startup phase, of course, less than a year out. But I've been really blessed for opportunities like this to be on my local news at least like 3 times.
Wow.
I've done global speaking engagements. So I always tell people Soul Rise Essentials offers more than just affirmation apparel. That's a tangible product for sale. That's where we make our profit and our margins. But I'm really passionate about our community and just making sure people are well up here. I'm not a therapist or a professional by any means, but I have a lot of those people that do come on my platform on my monthly podcast called Soul Seek Conversations.
Okay.
And they share the resources, they share the tips. I'm just giving you inspiration to say, hey, this is where I was, this is where I'm at now. But I've had a lot of great opportunities, different magazines, speaking engagements. It's been going really well. And I'm just waiting for that mark where we start to make multi-millions. I really believe that this business and this brand is going to go really far, but I've learned so much about shipping.
When did you decide to get into a podcast?
So I started that about maybe 8 months ago.
Why podcast? Because most people are wrestling with, if they're lucky, it's a business Facebook page and maybe, a website, somebody out there may be laughing, but no, I've run into that quite a bit, that they don't even have a website, but I at least try to get them in a Facebook bit. But you launched into a podcast.
I think I did it like 3 months after I started my business, because this month is going to mark episode number 9. So yeah, I do it every month. So about 9 months. Okay, so I call it a podcast, but I use that word reluctantly. People have been telling me that what I'm doing is a podcast, but I call it just a virtual video series. So I started the series on Instagram, and then I later realized not everybody has an Instagram. I know that a lot of my target audience is on Instagram, but for what I'm doing with the podcast or Soul Seed Conversations, I want this to reach everybody. So I started to take those videos from Instagram and put them on YouTube, so anybody anywhere that had access to the internet and YouTube could see them. So I did that because I wanted to hone in on the Soul Tribe family. I'm not just going to call it a name or put it on a necklace or a t-shirt, but I'm trying to foster a global community of people that are conscious about their well-being. So that's why I started it. I wanted people to learn more about me, but not just myself. People are coming on and sharing their personal stories of how they've overcome. And there is somebody somewhere in Timbuktu, and I'm in Richmond, Virginia, that can relate to what my story is or what your story is. And the idea is that you're never alone. We're more alike than we are different. So that's why I started it, to really have that connection piece to the community from my brand.
Well, I think that's it, especially during the pandemic when so many people felt that they were, they were alone. I mean, they were cut off and secluded, it's just, and even when going out, you had you got the mask, and we're just getting out of that a little bit now. But so to feel you're never alone, that's a,
yes,
as my family background was, a powerful statement. You're never, I'll make light of that. I used to, powerful. Yeah. But is to say that you're never alone. That's very important to most people that I know.
Yes.
Now here you go. So here we go. We're kind of hoping maybe we're out of the pandemic, maybe.
Kind of, sort of, not really.
In, out, whatever. But what are your plans? Now, here we got out of the pandemic. Now we have the issue of all the other challenges. I mean, it's gas prices, inflation, neighborhoods, which are not the neighborhood you would like to be in. Those all around us, everything's going on. So what is your plans for a business going? So you come out of the pandemic, you got that challenge. Now you have all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So what are your plans as a business? What are your plans for the future?
So my plan is to stay resilient and to bounce back. And I've never gone through this before. I'm a new business owner. I am a new business owner in a pandemic. I'm a new business owner in light of inflation that's going on. So I'm going to learn as I go. I'm going to hope for the best. I'm going to stay strategic and meet with different partners to keep me on track. But I'll be honest, I'm not sure what's going to happen with all this stuff going on. But my plan is to stay resilient. That's the most honest way I can answer that question, because I am learning as I go. But I think with where I am financially, I tried to be really smart about that. I'm not like a mathematician, but I've been fortunate enough to meet with a lot of great different organizations and have their advice, in different areas in my business. And just meeting with them really showed me that I'm on the right track. Even personally, before I had to make the transition from working in corporate to now being a business owner, I met with some financial advisors and learned that I was in a really good spot, or at least where my mind was about money, I was in a really good spot. So I'm hoping with profit margins and the cushions that are already built into my financial plan, if you will sustain, but hoping for the best. But this is all new, to be quite honest with you.
So again, is it being resilient? I've run into some people I've spoken with, and I had an interview earlier today that we chatted about this too, is that sometimes entrepreneurs, when they get up and they have an idea and they have such a passion for that idea, and they start closing out they're headed down a road. This is the path. I know everybody wants that teleporter. I know that every house is going to have a teleporter, and I'm being pleased. I'm not being serious there, but anyway, you've got this one idea and you don't divert from it whatsoever. How important is it to maybe go, wait a minute, maybe we just don't want to go over the cliff there, but we're not going to abandon it, but maybe turn. Fancy word is pivot. So we're going to pivot about 2 or 3 degrees and tack over here. How important is that?
Extremely, because we live in the information age, the technology age. Everything is changing rapidly. So us as business owners and our entity itself should be changing along with that as well. That doesn't mean every single thing that comes along that you have to jump on that train, but just being observant, figuring out who your target audience is, what they want, what are their needs, their pain points, and figuring out how to serve that, but also where it makes sense financially too. So just being diligent and using discernment and just wisdom and strategy. So that's just my personal opinion. And that's what I plan to do as things keep changing. It's ever changing.
Yeah, and I heard you you mentioned something, and I have not heard this before. Is you figured out that your primary audience that you want to reach is they're on Instagram. So that
So a
was
lot of them are on Instagram, but even with that, Instagram is changing. The new Instagram is TikTok. So I'm on TikTok every day. And there's a
okay.
big difference between how you market on Instagram and how you market on TikTok, completely different. You'll visit my website and see one thing. TikTok, you'll see, brand identity still stay the same, but what I'm offering on each platform is a little bit different. So people know me more on TikTok than they do
How
on
did you find out that they were your group that you wanted to reach were on those platforms? Because I
research.
work with different businesses that, well, I'll give you an example. I'm in an area that I haven't seen anything like it. There, people think Facebook is dead, but I'm up in an area that the whole community, it's more a rural community. I mean, everybody's on Facebook,
That's right. Yeah. You have
So,
to know who your audience is. I do market on Facebook too. I do run ads on Facebook, but again, just being strategic with what I'm doing on each platform. You can't show up on each platform the same, and you have to figure out if you even belong on each platform. So just being smart and really doing the research, really nailing down, like I said earlier, pain points, desires, price point, where do these people live, how do they think, psychoanalytics, people don't even know that word sometimes. So I am really into marketing. I like to learn. So these are things that I didn't always know, but I know them now, and I see the importance of knowing it, testing it, and figuring out what works for my specific business. So when I do analytics on my website, I'm seeing this is the age group, this is the gender. Okay, what do these people want? What are their interests? My business is geared towards self-care and mental health and trauma survivor and, things like that. So I have to get into the minds of those people. Luckily enough for me, I fall in my custom or my target audience a little bit. So I am my target audience in a sense. So just really, I guess I know you haven't asked me this, but I'm going to throw it out there. Any advice I could give to at least a small business owner is really looking at the micro instead of the macro. Like people see the opportunity, especially that social media can bring your business, or they're looking for a viral moment. But if you hone in on that micro and really get into the mind and the psychology of the person that you want to market to, I think there's a lot of room for success and being able to pivot, as you said, because that's where the money is. It's with your target audience. You have to find those people.
Are the customers, are you developing, okay, how important is to develop with your customers a relationship?
Super. And that is exactly why I decided on TikTok, since the what they want over there is a little bit different than what's being offered on Facebook and Instagram. I know for me that people are buying from not just my business, but my personality. I hear this all the time. I just did a video this morning responding to a comment. One lady said, every time I see you, I smile. So I'm bringing my story, I'm bringing my authenticity, this big Kool-Aid smile, my personality, and then the affirmation merch. So especially these days on social media, if you want to stand out, there are a ton of people you can shop with selling t-shirts, hats, and jewelry, but I'm bringing me, and there's not another me in another business. There's not another person that has my story, my personality in another business. So it's extremely important.
The people that want to be a part of your life somehow.
That's right. Yeah. And I want to be a part of theirs, not directly, but like just a person that's always in their ear, even if they can't see my videos or meet me in person. You know what? That girl, Soliél from Soul Rise Essentials, she said she had been through this. She got through that. She's shining and she's helping other people. So you're going through what you're going through for somebody else. And it doesn't mean that your story needs to look like anybody else's, but Soul Rise Essentials and the Soul Tribe just shows you that you can thrive again. Soul rise, it means to lift you up again, to give you some sunshine. So you can go through the good, the bad, the ugly. I'm not saying we have to be perfect, inauthentic people, but I want to be that little voice inside people's heads.
So it's kind of like, well, if she could do it, maybe I can, and help on that.
It's going to take a lot of work now, but you can do
work. But no, there's no shortcuts. But if you had to do it all over again, is there anything you would have done a little differently?
No, I feel so aligned right now, just the way everything's been working out. There was a foundation in my local area that actually, I talked about being a single parent earlier, but they actually helped me pay for childcare while I was starting my business. So I was able to use funds to self-fund and bootstrap my business. So when I say that, there's so many opportunities, people, places, things that have come my way that I had no hand over. I had nothing to do with that. So I feel like when I did it is when I was supposed to start my business. And I feel really aligned. I wouldn't change anything. My journey wouldn't be what it is right now if I didn't start when I started. That's just my personal belief.
Yeah, but I think you did mention though is looking around, being open to resources and opportunities to help you.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So it's staying that open, and that you
Yes.
didn't have the entire kit when you started. So
No,
being
I
able
didn't.
to have, okay, well, thank you, Ms. Lindsey. I really appreciate you taking the time with us and sharing today. If someone wanted to continue this discussion or reach out to you, how would they get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can reach me. Well, you can look at my website, visit my website to learn more about my brand at Soul, that's SOL, riseessentials.com. And if you have a story that you want to share, a resilient story on the Soul Seed Conversations podcast or video series, whatever we want to call it, you can email my story at soulriseessentials.com. If you need to reach me personally for anything, my email is Soliél, that's SOLIEL at soulriseessentials.com. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Mainly, we have a Facebook, and then we do have a Pinterest, but we're not as active, but we're on there. So reach out to us, and I would love to meet you. I would love to see you and your family in my affirmation apparel.
Well, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this, and I wish you continued success in your journey. And I think it's going to be a fascinating journey. He's one of these people you sometimes run into people that you hope, and I think it's going to happen for you. I really believe that you look back a few years from now and go, hey, I know that person, or I talk to that person. So yeah. I'm hoping and I believe I'm going to be one of those people that'll look back a few years ago. I knew her. Didn't I interview her? Wow, look what she's doing.
Thank you. And it's funny because, I'm just at the beginning of this thing, but there are so many people, and this is not to be braggadocious or anything, but people that feel like they're already in it. It really makes me happy, even before I started my business. So again, like I said, I'm just happy to be where I'm at, and I appreciate your good thoughts and encouragement. So thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Again, it's Steve Goad on the road to success with Soul Rise Essentials.